coming up.
Yeah.
This is big. Purim coming up. You know, I figured it's time, Rabbi Freeman, that we move you into the 21st century.
Mm-hmm.
It's Purim in the new normal here. And the big thing about Purim is, listen, I understand the purpose of Purim. You go out there, I mean, what you do for the rabbis tell you, you're supposed to get so drunk that you don't know the difference between Haman and Mordecai.
Right.
Well, thought about it. Times they are a-changin', said Bob Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
We got to think about it a little bit. The problem with that is there's a lot of negatives. I've been to some of your Purim parties. There's a lot of negatives with everybody getting drunk. Number one, rowdy crowd. I've seen some of these rabbis. They get drunk, they're throwing food, they're getting loud, they're probably saying some things to each other they probably regret the next day, and you know, it's not a good thing. And you know, I bet it's even tough to get a minyan the next morning there, because you probably have some rabbis in different locations in the bushes passed out.
No, we just go wake up the guys that are passed out in shul from the night before.
So wait, do you have to be awake for a minyan, or does that count?
Yeah, that's a different question, yeah.
We'll save that for a different episode,
Right,
probably.
right.
But so my thoughts are, and then, you know, we've talked about this a little bit, it's now legal in 2 of the states in this country to smoke marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Why can't we just say, instead of getting drunk, we're going to get everybody stoned? And I did a cost-benefit analysis.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did last night. Number one, let's just talk about the cost. I know when you're putting the Purim party together, nobody wants to drink that double malt scotch over there, and you're not bringing out the Manischewitz, I can guarantee you that.
Right.
No one's going for that. You got to put the good stuff out there. Everybody's getting drunk. That's got to be expensive. That's got to raise the dues there at the shul. So that's one thing that's expensive. Number two, I'm sure the mess. It'll be rowdy. Food will be flying everywhere. It's either the cleanup crew. It's very costly. So I put together a package that I think is going to work out for everybody to get marijuana. Number one, I know what you're saying. You're saying, Jeff, we live in Atlanta, Georgia. It's not legal to get marijuana in Atlanta, Georgia. But here's what I've noticed. I've noticed with you, and I hope I'm not, you know, insulting you, but I've noticed sometimes during our show, especially right at the beginning, during like my opening monologue, you seem very pained. You seem to have a pained expression on your face, like you're hurting inside.
Yeah.
There's a script for that. I can get us a script. I know a guy who knows a guy.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, I think we can get a script for that we can bring enough medicinal marijuana, we'll call it that, medicinal marijuana into the shul to take care of the whole evening. Here's the benefit. We don't even need to, I know what you're saying. You can't smoke in the shul. That's wrong. You can't do it. No problem. We're going to cook it into the hamadashins. Here's what we do. We get the crew to cook it into the hamadashins. By the time we get there, a half hour into the party, everybody's not going to know who Haman and Mordecai is. It's going to be great. Yeah, I know also what you're saying. Yeah, but what do we do about all the kids? Who's going to watch kids? No problem. The kids can get stoned too. The President of the United States says it's not even a bad thing anymore. Listen, one day, it's not going to, the kids eat a couple of hamadashins, it's not like you're not going to find them. They're going to be sitting in the corner not moving anyway, so someone's going to have to chase them around. There's no negative to this whole situation here.
Well, I think they may have to be done you one better, because I was wondering, like, why do all these organizations offering Purim in Denver? Purim in Denver, package deal, Purim Denver, you go for the whole weekend.
You have to pay for 3 days, though, because it's like a whole package
right.
deal.
Purim in Denver. What's all of a sudden Purim in Denver,
I mean,
you know?
The good point about it is I think everybody's agreeing. We need to make Purim one of the high holidays.
Yes, that's right. And where better than Denver?
That's it.
Yes, Rocky Mountain High, that's right.
So where's the negative in all this?
Right.
Only positives.
Right. That's the question. That's the question. This year, you know, when it was illegal, of course, we never endorse anything that's illegal. We always observe the laws of the state. That is a tried and true principle found in the Talmud, that we always have to live according to the laws of the state in which we live. So, of course, we would never dream of using controlled substances. However, on Purim, when everyone is getting drunk, well, if you're Purim in Denver this year,
right,
can people just get high? You know, will they be sending out in the shalach manos baskets that people exchange with each other? Will everyone be like, you know, on a little bed of weed there, you know, like put out some fruits and a couple of items on a little bed? You know, why not?
That's a good thought. It really is.
Right. You know, people send out little packages of like, you know, cigarette paper, right, and, you know, like all
that. Might take a little longer to read the Megillah but I don't know.
Yeah.
But it might work.
I could see it, right? Everyone love it. Why not? That's the question. Why not? So The answer is, and I'm going to be like the Grinch here about Purim. You know, you leave it to me to take away everyone's fun. But the truth is that Purim is not Mardi Gras.
Oh.
Purim is not that one Jewish day when everyone just lets it rip and gets smashed out of their minds. And, because Judaism, particularly the Orthodox approach, is kind of restrictive and straight and, straight and narrow. So you might have thought that Purim is that one day when everyone just, lets it go. You're allowed to just do whatever you want, say whatever you want, get smashed, basically, roll them out into the hall when they drop, just everyone vomiting all over the place and all that stuff. Right? And there is a lot of that. And you could probably find pictures of it, or if you've lived around Jewish communities, you might see a lot of that drunkenness and all. And you think, what kind of religion is this? They just have this one day where they can all just let it rip.
Right.
And then you probably think, well, yeah, because they're so regressive and uptight that they have to have this one day to let it go.
We are a tightly wound people.
Right.
That's what we are.
So that would be the case. Then what does it matter? Drink wine, scotch, bourbon, weed, you name it. Can't break the law, but as long as you're not breaking the law, just do it.
Right.
So the answer is that's not what we're trying to do.
Uh-oh.
And even when the rabbi said, the oft-quoted line that says in the Talmud, you're supposed to get drunk so that you don't know the difference between Haman and Mordechai. And actually the proper quote is, you don't know the difference between cursed is Haman and blessed is Mordechai. Okay, and Haman being the villain of the story, Mordechai being the hero of the story, and you're supposed to get so drunk that you confuse those two. The people usually think that what that means is you're supposed to get smashed out of your mind because, I'm drinking away, and let's see, Haman was the bad guy, Mordechai was the good guy.
Right.
Fill me up,
Just
keep going until, and when would you ever get to that point? For most people, probably when you're passed out.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of people that, until the very end, Haman was the bad guy.
Right. They can hang till the end.
Right. So when would you ever do that? So what do they mean? And what would be the purpose of getting drunk? Why would the rabbis have come up with such a bit of advice like that? So the answer, I believe, is to be found in the nature of Purim not being Mardi Gras. For example, Mardi Gras is this idea of party like crazy because now we're going into Lent, and everyone's got to be tight.
Right.
So that's not what's going on in Purim. Purim was a day of great salvation. Purim was a day when it looked like everyone was done for. I mean, people felt the noose around their necks. They thought they are goners. Haman set him up perfectly, had total power. The king had given his signet ring over to Haman, so he gave him total power to manage the whole situation, the annihilation of the Jews throughout the whole empire. They thought they're all done for.
Right.
And then the whole thing turned around. And on the very day that they thought they were done for, great salvation, and the Jews' stock rose and they became almost like princes in the country. So the idea there is that we're supposed to be appreciating the turnabout. You're supposed to be appreciating that when God was making it look bad in this whole setup where things going against us, this is we're trapped.
Worse, right.
Every escape, shut down. We're boxed in, we're now going to be exterminated. And then it turns out that actually the very way that he was boxing us in is how he was setting the stage for our salvation. And it was a great turnabout. So what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to become inebriated, happy, joyous, to the point where we can look at things and see them one way and perhaps see them another way. And why is wine particularly the drink of choice for Purim?
That I don't know.
And not, by the way, even hard liquor, and certainly not, I would say, marijuana. The idea of wine is something particular in that. And wine is a numerical value, the letters Yud, Nun, Yayin in Hebrew. Yud has a numerical value of 10, because all the Hebrew letters have a numerical value.
Okay.
Aleph, A is 1, and base is 2. The Gimel, the third letter of the alphabet, is 3, till you get up to Yud, which is 10, Chaf is 20, so on and so forth, till you get up to Kuf, which is 100, Resh is 200, so on and so forth. So if you take the word Yayin, Hebrew, Yud, Yud, Nun, it comes out to be 70. Nun is 50, Yud is 10, Yud is 10,
Okay.
70. There's another word called Sod. Sod. Sod is an interesting word. Sod means secret. The inside, the foundation. The foundation is usually covered over. The secret. The Sod, what's underneath it, what's behind it all. And Sod has 70, Samach Vav Daled, 70 is the same numerical value. And our sages tell us when the wine goes in, the Sod, the secrets, come out.
Well, I've definitely seen that on a Saturday.
That's right. You probably have. Right? You probably have had that experience.
Yes, definitely.
And the idea is that wine reveals what's going on inside. And that's what we want to do. What Purim is all about. Purim is all about is getting the core out. It's that one holiday when you see what was really going on inside, you see it on the surface. All throughout life, we live our lives. You have your thoughts, I have my thoughts. You think things about me, I think things about you. You don't necessarily say everything you think about me. I don't say everything you say. But, we go through life and we have our, But one day,
I'm going to really think about you.
There you go. And that's what happens because the secrets come out and people talk and you see things that are hidden underneath. And that was the whole idea of Purim. Purim was an idea that there were secrets and things were going on underneath, and God had this major plan, and it all gets exposed through the wine, especially through in this story, because when we read the story, we see every time the king's got a big party, and it talks a lot about how much wine they drink at the party. And it says when the king's heart was glad with wine, and he brings Vashti, the whole thing, and he deposes Vashti, which sets the tone for Esther, and then Esther denounces Haman at a party where they're drinking wine, and everything takes place when wine is being drunk.
Right.
And that is why we want to drink wine. We don't want to get smashed, but we want to drink wine, and we want to try to achieve an insight where the inner becomes the outer one day a year. That's what Purim's about.
Well, two questions about that. One, what's the numerical value for scotch? Because I've seen some secrets flying on scotch as well during Purim.
Yeah, I guess that is true. That is true. The scotch can kind of bring out the secrets.
I've seen secrets.
Yeah, but when you think about it, to contrast that, though, with other things, particularly marijuana, people tend to get very introspective, very closed in.
But they come out with some weird kind of thinking there, too. Probably not, maybe not the best thoughts, but there's some thoughts going out there.
Right, but you don't necessarily what it really is, and I've seen this so much, we all have inside of us a certain sense of joy that's down deep in there. And we cover it over a lot. People don't walk around joyous and happy and everything like that. Just this morning, I received some good news, and then moments later received another piece of good news, back to back.
Well,
good news and good news. It was just fantastic. You know something? I was really, really happy about it. I told some people about it. And I found myself much more productive all morning long.
I definitely can see
that. I was
that.
just on. I was open. I was just, why? Nothing to do with anything that was going on. I just, heard good news. And then while I'm telling over the good news, I get a phone call and more good news comes in. I'm like, wow. And it just turned me on. We have an inner capacity for joy, and it's not revealed. When a person has a little drink, it lets the inhibitions down. And it lets us reveal who we really want to be, which is joyous and happy. Now, if we drink too much, then we get all messy, right? And sometimes people even they get morose and all kinds of crazy.
Well.
You've seen that all over the place. Yep. That's why it says you're supposed to drink so that you don't know the difference between cursed is Haman and blessed is Mordechai. So that we realize that the cursed is Haman, that all the stuff that Haman wanted to do, how he tried to mess us up, What it really did was it brought the Jews back together.
Right.
And it put them right in place, ready to receive a great event that made them better off than they were before.
Now that's interesting. That's interesting.
And for that, you got to have a positive outlook.
So what I'm getting from this is Rabbi Freeman suggesting at breakfast, we have a little bit of wine at breakfast every day. A couple cups of wine at breakfast.
Yeah, maybe.
And everything fine.
Maybe you should, you know.
I could call my kids and no, maybe.
Yeah, the French, you know, they have
right.
That is the idea of tapping in to the gladness, the good feeling. I don't think it means getting smashed.
Right.
If you get to the point where you really don't know the difference between Haman and Mordecai, then you're nearly unconscious.
But maybe what you're saying then is that there really wasn't, at least in the time, that much a difference between the curse of Haman and all of a sudden the good that came from Mordecai, because it was all went in. It was planned that way.
When it was all done, and they turned around and they assessed what had just happened,
right there.
They said, "Wow, when it was bad, it was really good."
Good, right?
But we didn't know that, of course, because we were all uptight, because no one knows how it's going to end up in the end.
Right.
But now, in retrospect, we see that the bad was really the good. So that tells us that tomorrow, when you see bad, you might have to keep a positive attitude. Say, this looks bad, but this could also be good. Something good could come out of this. That is the essence of Purim. And for that, you can't be smashed out of your mind drunk. And I don't think you can get high either. I think what you need to do is you need to drink some wine or perhaps similar alcoholic beverage in a moderation, which makes you happy and to tap into that inner self. That's what you want to do.
Wow, that's good. Now, I like that. I like that. So, the whole concept of them of Purim, and I get where you're going here. The whole concept of Purim, but is it the whole point here? Do you need to get drunk to see this? I mean, is it do you need to really get out there and get drunk during Purim to see this before I even get to the next level? I mean, I just learned my lesson right here. Do I need to drink from Purim?
Right. That is a very good question. That's a very good question, and I think that everyone needs to drink something.
Right.
Everyone needs to drink something. The question is, different people, different amounts.
Right.
And it'll do it for different people. I think the closer your joy is to the surface, the less you really need to drink to tap into it. Okay. And some people, that joy is like down there. It really needs to be like drilled. You got to go drill like mining to get down there, like way beneath the surface to tap into that.
More.
Right. Maybe they need a little bit more, you know. Depends.
So is the real celebration of Purim, is the real celebration, why we celebrate Purim? Are we celebrating the closeness of bad to good here and how it turned out? Or what's the real celebration then?
We are celebrating the fact, listen, what's one of the big motifs of Purim? Masks.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that next.
Masks,
Why?
costumes, right, and all that. Why? Because the whole idea is things are not as they seem. You know, this is like you come in with a mask and, you know, in goes the wine, out comes the sea. Hey, it's me. Underneath, look, it's, you know, I thought it was this one. It's really that one.
Right.
You know? So that's the whole idea of what Purim is all about. It's about the fact that everything is masked. It looks bad. It's really good. You know, listen, the day that Esther was taken to Mordecai had to have been, taken to Achashverosh, the king, had to have been the blackest day in her life.
I would assume.
Now, if you would have told her at the time that this is an essential step because you're going to save millions of people's lives, she wouldn't believe it. No. But had she known it at the time, it may have been more of a comfort to her, although it was a pretty black day. But it may have been a comfort. Certainly later on, when she realizes, when it's all over, and she turns out and she looks at it, and she realizes that perhaps the greatest event and the greatest action that she ever did in her life was to save the entire Jewish people.
Did pretty well there.
So when you turn around and you say to her, and you know what day it all started? The day that they took you off to Achashverosh. So she still probably was not happy about having to go through that. However, when it's all said and done,
worked out.
Does she not want what she gained?
What about the good old days when you just split a sea and then you walk through? You don't have to. I mean, isn't that like a bigger miracle? The sea splits and you walk through. You don't have to worry about what's going to happen next. Is this bigger than that?
You're living in the past.
It's definitely living in the past.
There anymore.
But man, that was an easy day. Okay, I see it. The sea split. Don't have to tell me anymore. I believe in God. I'm down praying. I'm there.
We're wearing the masks now. We live in the masked world. That was in the old world, where manna could fall from heaven and seas would split and all kinds of goody stuff like that. God's not there anymore. God is behind the veil. And Esther, as a matter of fact, the word Esther, the name Esther means hidden. Hidden. She's Haster. Haster, Astir, says the verse. God says, I will hide my face on that day. There's going to come a time when God is hidden. And Esther is the candidate that's going to reveal God being hidden, because her life is a life where she plays out the hiddenness of God. We don't see it until that great moment when it happens, and then it's fantastic. And that's what Purim's all about. Masks, costume, hiding, finding what's underneath, finding what's deep. Wine is an essential part of that. Not necessarily just getting high and not being out of control, but tapping into that thing which is deep down there.
Well, my biggest Purim question, I don't know if it's just about the wine, but my biggest Purim question is this, because I think it's about life itself. Because I think about, okay, I've got obviously some purpose I'm supposed to be doing, but if we go back to Esther, what if she just didn't? What if Esther just, Mordecai came to Esther and said, this is what you got to do, and then, whatever.
Esther said, I'm not up for it.
I'm not up for it. I don't feel like, I'm too scared.
And what if? That.
And she did it first. So, but I guess this is a question about life more than just about Esther. What if Esther said no?
Right. She tried, and Mordecai came back to her, and he told her three things. He says, first of all, when it goes down, it's going to go down bad, and you're going to be swept up in it. If it goes bad, you think like you're going to escape because you're in the palace. No, it's going to be bad for you too. That's number one. Number two is, Mordecai said, this is your opportunity for greatness. Carpe diem, seize the moment, right? Yeah. But number three, he said, and if you don't do it, God will find someone else to do it.
Well, that's the big question, because number 2 and 3 are the big question here. Okay, this is your great moment. You live your life, like Esther, and bad things happen, good things happen. All of a sudden, here I am in this situation. If I don't do it, are you going to take care of it for me? I mean, is it that important that I don't do it? I mean, maybe it's that important to me, but okay, I'm supposed to save the day here. I'm busy today. Are you going to handle it? Is the plan already worked out so complicated and so woven into our fabric of all our lives that you're going to take care of it for me?
If I don't take the opportunity that's being offered, if it's in God's plan, it will work out. But I do have the ability to change my destiny due to my free will. And if Esther drops the ball, God will pick up the ball and give it to someone else.
So it could have been the
book of Esther? You're out of here.
It could have been the book of Tom instead of the book of Esther.
That's right.
Tom could have walked in and taken care of the whole thing.
Right. Or maybe if it wasn't Esther, it could have been Verna.
Verna, right?
Yeah.
Verna. That would be an interesting book.
Yeah, book of Verna. Yeah, some other girl. See that girl sitting next to you? We'll take her instead. God could figure it out.
But I think that's the big question. I think, Purim is pretty deep here. We got to figure this out. I think the whole lesson, and if it takes a couple glasses of wine to do it, then maybe we should drink a couple glasses of wine, because we might all have a pretty big destiny here. Are we all hitting it, or are we missing it?
And that is really, how do you know? How do you know?
I think about that all the time.
So the main factor is, most importantly, is you have to walk around with an awareness, with your eyes open.
Right, right.
Let's say someone told you that today something is going to happen somewhere along the line that you're going to be given the key to great wealth. So when you walk out today,
we're looking everywhere.
You're keeping your eye, you're looking at everything. You're trying to read into. You turn on the radio, you're like trying to read some significance into it, and all that stuff. So that they tell all these stories, like there's a guy is told that there's great wealth buried under a bridge in a faraway place. So he travels all the way to the faraway place, and he's under the bridge, and he gets his shovel, and he's digging under the bridge, and some other guy comes along, and he says, what are you doing? And he says, I'm looking for something. He said, you're an idiot. You wasted your time there. If you were looking for great wealth, there's a house in a little town That when I used to live in that house, and before I left that house, I buried wealth underneath the stove, underneath the oven in that house, which happened to be the house that he was living in.
Right. I agree. That's true.
So, and of course, how did he find it? Because he went over there to look for the gold. And, you get the idea. The messages are all around us, but we have to have our eyes open, looking for the messages, and to realize that we're living part of a great big play.
Right.
That's what Mordecai was telling Esther. Like, Esther, think big. There's a big play here.
I always think big. I mean, it's an interesting way to live your life, but it could be, finding significance in every, there's a fly in my soup, and finding some significance in that could be tough. Wow, that means it's going to be a big day here.
I'm not like a big omen reader,
right.
But there are times when we all realize that we are being called upon to do something. Maybe to exercise restraint, or maybe to take action. Maybe it is to be generous, or maybe it is to be strong, or who knows what. And if we don't have our eyes clued into that, then we'll miss it. And that's what Purim is. And that's why we open your eyes to seeing something different, to seeing it from a different perspective. And that is why we drink the wine, and out comes the secrets to look and to see, what is the secret behind this? What is underneath this? What's being hidden from my eye? And how can I reveal it?
And maybe even more importantly, for a lesson, a full circle lesson here, if you're getting stoned all the time, you might miss it anyway.
Yeah.
Your eyes probably, literally and physically, and literally, your eyes aren't that wide open. You're not seeing what's going on, and pretty much you're missing out in life. So maybe a couple of glasses of wine makes sense. Getting stoned all the time, you might miss what you're here for in the first place.
Right. Never when you're just like, hey, that's cool.
If Esther was stoned, there's a chance we'd, I don't know.
Right. Esther would have gone into the king, but she was like stoned out of her head, so she,
she missed it. Oh, is that today?
Yeah.
I forgot to set my alarm.
Bummer.
So I guess that makes sense. I think this is a good lesson. Keep your eyes open. Keep joyful. Keep happy. And notice that it's not all what it seems out there.
Right. And save your money on those weekend Purim in Denver this year. Like, forget it. You can do Purim in Atlanta, too. It'd be just as good.
Cheaper, better, and things will work out better for you in the long run.
Right.
All right, good. Good episode. I hope this was a learning experience for everyone, especially my children. Okay. Next week, we'll see you back.